Hey everyone, and welcome to my first ever hoop tutorial, which is going to involve some off-body hooping. And today we're going to have a look at some hand hooping. Now, unlike on-body hooping or waist hooping, where we want a hoop which is quite large with a bit of weight behind it, we're still going to want a large hoop as it's going to help us with our reaction speed and our control, but we want a nice light hoop so that we don't bruise our hands or injure our hands. So quite delicate compared to our bodies. So I'm using a 90 centimetre, I believe, Polypro hoop, which is a really good starting point. So let's get started with some hand hooping. So the first thing to think about is where our arms are going to be. Now with hand hooping, it can be tempting to extend your arm out and have the hoop going in front of you. What we need is our elbow tucked in at our waist at about a 90-degree angle and our hand out in front of us as if we were going to go and shake someone's hand. So with that in mind, we're going to hold our hand in that position and we're going to put our hoop, fingers facing forwards, with our hoop kind of off to one side. So our hand is on the edge of the hoop, which is just in front of us, but the rest of the hoop is off to the side. Now, what we're going to do first, just to get used to the hoop going around our hand, is we're just going to send it around our hand once. Using our wrist, we're going to give it a push that way, open our hand out so that our fingertips are facing forward, allow it to move around our hand. We may need to give it a little push out to the side with the back of our hand and then catch it again. So I'll show you how that looks. One big push, let it go round and then catch again, So I'll show you one more time at this speed. So holding it, one big push and catch. And I'll now show you that in slow motion. Keep practicing that movement. You can eventually build up to doing quite a few in a row. And then you're going to want to practice the same move on the other side. But this time, we're going to be pushing the other way. So each time we're pushing it so that the hoop kind of frames our face and then comes round back to the side. So we're going to have a practice on this side now. So pushing the other way, fingers open and catch. So keep practicing that move and get used to that feeling of the hoop travelling around your hand. If it flies off your hand, don't worry, just go and pick it up. One top tip to make sure that it doesn't come up your arm is just to keep your thumb extended upwards, so if you watch my thumb as I do it, just to make sure it doesn't come up our body. But our elbow needs to stay in the same place. Once we're comfortable with letting the hoop go around our hand once and we feel like we've mastered it, we've got good control, that's when we can start, to spin the hoop around the hand. So we're going to do the same push, but this time we're going to keep the palm open and we're just going to make a small circular motion with our hand. Mostly the movement is horizontal. Now, lots of hoopers that I've watched tutorials of say that they use a vertical motion, like so, like they're shaking someone's hand. That has never really worked for me, so you can give that a go, but I tend to use kind of more of a small circle, but more like an oval shape, because you're moving more to the side, but round in a circular motion. I will let you watch that in slow motion so you can see what I mean. So one thing to note is that my thumb is up and my fingers are together and my elbow is tucked in. My feet are nice and firm into the floor and my core is engaged. If I tuck that thumb in, what starts to happen is the hoop starts to come up my arm and then I end up having to extend it and I've lost control. So it's really important to make sure your thumb is up and your elbow is tucked in to stop the hoop from coming up your arm. We also need to make sure that our hand isn't dropping down because that's when it starts to come off of our fingers and we lose control. So it's keeping our arm nice and straight at the side, and that thumb up, because that will make sure that the hoop is staying in place. And we're gently moving in that oval motion with our hand to keep the hoop spinning. As before, it's really important to practice this move on both sides. So stopping the hoop from time to time and just switching hands to make sure you are comfortable using both. Because eventually we can move up to swapping hands whilst the hoop is still spinning. So keep practicing that and we'll get ready to learn how to swap. So, to swap hands whilst the hoop is spinning, we are going to do something called prayer hands. So we're going to get the hoop spinning on one side. And what we're going to look for is a space which opens up by your hoop. Now, it can be useful to look in a reflective surface. When I was learning, my patio doors were a lifesaver because I could watch what was happening. Or you can just be looking down at your hand. And what we're looking for is a space to open up by our palm, okay? So I will explain now what I mean. So if you're watching carefully, I've got a space, 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 space. That space is where we're going to put our free hand to swap our hands over. So it can be worthwhile while you're practicing just to keep an eye on that and kind of count the rotations of your hoop so you can see that space. So if I'm counting now, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So keep looking out for that space. And eventually, when you feel you have found the rhythm and you know when the space is going to open up, you can slide this hand in. And this is where the word prayer hands comes in. So keeping our thumbs up and our palms tight together, we're carrying on that kind of oval motion. And then take it back out. So keep practicing that, looking for the space and putting your free hand in and keeping the palms together. Eventually, what you're going to be able to do is place your hand into the space and then take your initial hand out so that you are actually swapping which hand is in the hoop. Oh, I tried to rush that one. So, and that's the thing, eventually you will get quicker and you'll be able to just kind of move it from side to side. So elbow in, look for the space, add your palm, prayer hands, you can hold it here for a bit if you need to, and then remove that initial hand, keeping that motion going. Good luck with your hand hooping journey, and I can't wait to hear how you get on. Please tag me in all of your hand hooping posts, and I'll see you all next week for another tutorial.